Hi, this is James Masten, and you're listening to The Movie Raid.
It's time for the movie raid, and tonight's victim is actor James Masten, as currently in the film Voorhees, a fan-made film. Hello.
Hey, how you going?
So, have we got any other projects going, or is this your current baby at the moment?
Right now, this is my current baby, but I am thinking about some other projects at the moment, yes. Mostly, I'm doing theater right now, getting ready to do in the park rendition of Midsummer Night's Dream with Demetrius. Some smaller things, just to keep my acting chops up. Voorhees is my big baby right now. It's my main focus, and it's probably the biggest project I've done yet. I mean, I've done small roles here and there and in some short films.
Having to work on projects like between film and stage and as well as this film, how do you separate yourself from actor from employee?
Honestly, there really is no separation for me. For me, acting is a way of life, and even as an employee, in retail and things like that, you're in a sense being an actor. You're putting on a face, you're putting on a persona. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of days you go into work, you're not feeling like yourself, you're angry or you're upset about something, and you still have to put on a smile. So you're always, in a sense, acting. You're putting on a persona in front of people. You're never really showing your true self. But when I get on stage, it's a completely different thing. Yes, you're playing this character, and it's different from working in a retail setting, but you're playing this character, but you're still bringing elements of yourself into it. You're still technically putting on a mask over yourself. And you're playing yourself, but you're bringing an element of this different persona to yourself. It really is no separation for me.
Yeah, because it can affect a person's mentality in terms of acting. I mean, yeah, you're going to work and you basically go to work, but oftentimes the production treats it as a work environment. Well, at least to them it is, because they're hiring you to do a job. But as an actor, you got to focus on whatever character you're working on, whatever type of situation that you're working on, and so forth. But having at the same time, you always sometimes have that in the back of your head, like, well, you are hired as an employee, but it can be a big effect to an actor's mentality.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like make Heath Ledger as an example. He immersed himself in these roles. He did a role as a drug addict, and I think he actually did heroin. But he immersed himself so far into a role, and then he went right on to do the Joker and caused himself to go insane on all these drugs. And there's a certain line that you would need to draw. Absolutely, because it can definitely affect you in your regular lifestyle if you take it too seriously. But there's nothing wrong with method acting. There's nothing wrong with really bringing yourself into a character and letting it linger with you, throughout the day, as long as you're not letting it consume you. I think there are certain actors out there that can do that because that's all they do. That is their job. But sometimes when you're an up-and-coming actor and you're working on a film as an employee doing this one, and then you have to go to work the next day, you obviously would want to try and be as professional as possible and try to separate the two. Absolutely.
Now, do you believe in self-image, meaning to protect yourself as this actor rather than worrying about what other companies see you as this type of actor, like working in horror, working in this other genre that you've been in a couple times? Is this something that an actor should not really worry too much about in terms of having to get out there as far as work goes? This
is a tough one, because when it comes to your image, you would want to be yourself. You wouldn't want to care. You wouldn't want to care. You would want to be open enough to be brave enough to explore new avenues and not be afraid to push yourself and be yourself. But when it comes to image, 90% of Hollywood is all about and how you're perceived, in the media. Most people aren't going to see anything but what they see on the screen or what you put out. And so, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to really be careful and watch what you say and watch how you conduct yourself. There is a level of professionalism that you definitely have to use in order to maintain an image, because that image is your livelihood, and you definitely don't want to taint it, because that's the only thing people are going to see. You could be the best person in the world, and you can see how media has ruined careers based on one tweet or one post or one text from the past or something like that. You could be the best person in the world, but that text or image or whatever you put out there is all they're going to see. And so you really have to be careful with how you conduct yourself to the public versus how you conduct yourself. You can say, I don't care. You can be that person and say, I don't care, and try to be the rebel. But most people don't really like the rebels. There's very few people that can pull that off, like Robert Downey Jr., people like that, because people do know them. They know who they are outside because they've heard about it. Your image that's your uniform at work. You have to maintain it. Your image is everything to you in Hollywood. So make sure that you're constantly keeping up your image and you're not
trying
to put something out there you wouldn't want people to see, because that's all they're going to see.
Yeah, and oftentimes a lot of actors, I'm not every actor, but a lot of actors would like do this intentionally to draw up controversy and all this other stuff, that you're intentionally tainting the actual media just so they can get the recognition, just so they can get additional roles for that matter. And then there are actors out there that have performed in, let's say, one genre for, let's say they made like over 6 films in that specific genre, having to only play in that genre, having to worry about whether or not they're going to be hired by other companies in other genres because they've been in that one genre.
Yeah, they've been completely typecast as one particular, type of character or something like that. That's something we can definitely touch on, is the problem of typecasting. And that would bring me to picking particular roles. Like, in the beginning, you would want to take as many roles as you can. Like, take what you can. Get your foot in the door. But if you're taking consistently the same type of roles, same movies over and over again over time, you could get into that situation where you get yourself typecast and you really can't pull yourself out into any and break out into any roles. That's one of my fears too, actually.
It's so treacherous, that the fact that, especially now, everything is sensitive in a sensitive matter. Everything is so chaotic. Everything is so in the now. Either you win or you lose type deal, and then that kind of mentality is becoming more and more popular than it ever was. I mean, from just a small trend to now, it's just like almost an ongoing virus that a lot of these actors are almost going with it, and they're destroying their own careers just because might be an easier way to deal with this kind of situation.
Well, yeah, because we live in an age of identity politics. Your identity is what makes you or breaks you these days in Hollywood. To strike up controversy is a way to gain fame these days, because you can get news recognition, you can get entire movements behind you and stuff like that, and that'll give you what little push and what little fame you need to get yourself someplace. Yeah, it's actually a tactic these days. It's how everyone gets their fame these days, in a sense, because you got to think. Look at most of these celebrities these days. Most celebrities are not really movie stars these days, like the Kardashians, Instagram models, people that just put themselves out there and create drama and create controversy just enough that they get their image and name out there. It's definitely a tactic, and it's something that a lot of actors and celebrities do these days, and it's something that I would definitely tell any upcoming actor to try to avoid, because yes, it can get you fame, it can definitely hurt you in the long run as well.
Yeah, especially even in characters. I mean, I think it could even potentially harm you as acting a character itself. I mean, because it's going to reflect whatever you do in reality. Chances are it's going to reflect right as you play as these characters, because people are going to see it, people are going to know about it, people are going to judge you, and that's the worst thing, is when people are judging you for what you've done outside of the acting and bring it into the character and so forth that isn't really catered into the taste of the character, then you got to either make some big changes, or you're intentionally doing this just so to hold on to that ego or image or whatever, just to keep going.
Controversy creates chaos, and chaos, people it's like looking at a car wreck. You can't turn away. Look at Tom Cruise. He's a Scientologist. He's notorious for how insane he's been with his Scientology and his beliefs and things like that. And not really trying to, crap on Scientology, just to offend somebody or something like that. But, you hear a lot of stories. It's out there. It's fact. You hear a lot of scary stories from people that were in Scientology. You hear about Tom Cruise, and you think Will Smith, people like that who believe in these things, and it becomes so relevant in their personality and character that you start watching them in movies, and you really can't see past character, or you really can't see the character. All you see is the man behind the character. When you can't separate the actor from the character, then you've done something wrong, and you've really done something wrong as an actor. You need to try to separate your personal life from your acting life. That's why if anybody ever asks me about politics, or what I believe about certain ideals or whatever, in interviews about movies or things like that, I will completely avert the subject, because that's not what I came into this industry to do. I didn't sign up to be a politician. I didn't sign up to give you my opinion on, who should have been elected into the White House, or my opinion on trades or whatever. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to entertain you. I'm here to bring you joy. I'm here to make you smile, to distract you from all the real world, to distract you from the negativity of politics. I'm not trying to shove that down your throat and bring you back into the real world. My job is to bring you out of it for 2 hours. and I want people to see me as an actor and be able to separate themselves from reality. And if I'm constantly talking about politics or my ideals, it's going to get to the point where all people are going to see is a politician, and they're not going to be able to separate because it's a personal issue that is deep with a lot of people, and sometimes that can be controversial, and it gets to the point where people don't want to watch these actors because all they see is their politics. And that's what you want to strive to try to separate, is try to separate your art from your politics. You don't, because that will taint everything.
And it's all about the vision. Everybody has their own vision, the way how they want to form it, the way they have to see what other people want that person that has this vision to see. And when it comes to being a part of this vision, do you think it's best to share this vision on a production itself with the director when it comes to whatever part that you're playing and the storyline? Do you think there should be more involvement with this, or do you think it should be like mainly between the director or writer or other people, I mean, with no input from anybody else? Or do you think it's like a dangerous combination?
Every piece of the puzzle is important when it comes to filmmaking. That there is no one person in the production that's more important than the other. Everybody plays a part. Everybody plays a role. And if one role fails, then the whole thing can fall apart. The whole picture becomes incomplete. So to not involve your people that are helping you with this production in the actual creative process of it could be detrimental to the film, because each one of them brings their own unique brush stroke into the film, like the lighting crew, the sound crew, cinematographer, the cameraman. If you're not conversing with them and consulting with them and getting their ideas and visions, then you're not really getting the full potential out of your art. So to bring, as an actor, I think it's very important that the director is completely transparent with the actor about the role, and also letting the actor bring piece of themselves into the character. You have a script. The script's written. Character's created. That character in the script is an outline. It's just an outline. It really hasn't been fully fleshed out. The words are just words. They're just lines. It's the actor that really fleshes out the characters. The actor that brings the color to the character, that brings the image to the character, that the personality to the character. And yeah, you can sit there and write the personality. This is how he feels or what he says on paper, but if you tell the actor just to do that, and this is how I want you to do it, then you're going to get a hollow performance. You need to really be transparent with the actor and let the actor, and also be open to actors' suggestions, because each actor knows how they would say a certain line. Each actor knows how okay, I've read this character. I really understand this character, and I don't feel like he would say a line away. The best directors are the directors, like my director, Cody. Best directors are directors that listen to their actors and actually, all right, you can try it like that. If you feel that way, try it like that. And that's sometimes where you get the greatest performances in movies and some of the greatest scenes. The guy, Scarface, Al Pacino. There's a scene in the movie, one of the most famous lines. So say goodnight to the bad guy. That entire monologue, halfway through, was completely improvised, but the director just kept rolling because he just let his actor be who he was supposed to be and let him bring himself into the character. And those are where you get your best moments. So you should always let your crew, your director, everybody should always work together to create an image, because there really is no master. There's obviously a guy that knows exactly what he needs, and it's the main, artist, obviously, but everybody brings a piece to it. You should always be open to suggestions.
Yeah, and then oftentimes you can succeed as a film itself. I mean, of course, the public will see that. The public will notice that you put all this heart and effort into this just because of something simple like that, and you make it a success no matter where you go. But when it comes to with these bigger, larger companies who have already had such an astounding feedback and have been known for many years, are buying up all these past projects and new projects from existing film companies. Do you think that equality for actors will actually lower as this happens?
That's tough. I do fear that is a possibility. It is a possibility because, you look at Star Wars movies, for example, how there was a point where they were trying to push out a Star Wars movie once every single year, like one new Star Wars movie a year. And it kind of got to a point where the movies felt more like just money makers. Like, okay, now do you really care about the source material, or are you just trying to pump out these movies just to make money? And obviously I love that they keep bringing out Star Wars movies, but is there the only real movie that I felt the love behind, like the actual feel of Star Wars behind real Star Wars, was Rogue One. agree that they definitely have been commercialized in a sense. Yes, because, you got new toys coming out, so let's create new characters. Let's bring a new creature in so we can make a new doll, like the Porgs. So yeah, there is a sense of monetary gain that comes out of it. Eventually, yeah, it does come down to a point where it's only about money, how much money you can make at the end of the day when you pump out a film. So could that hurt acting? Absolutely. If it really does happen, absolutely, because it comes down to who can sell brand better, what looks better. No longer about skill, no longer about quality, no longer about quantity. That's where it could get bad, because when it comes to money, if you love money, no longer about quality, it's about quantity, because quantity makes more money. So yes, that could definitely, suddenly films just become a brand.
Yeah, and the actors become limited. Like they're not even doing the parts anymore because it's always about time management. It's like, okay, we need this done here by this time and do it so fast. Being given the chance to put the effort into the character, because you're always being pressurized by either director, because he or she is being pressurized by the company and so forth. And like you said, just pumping this out, and then it doesn't really feel like a story anymore. It doesn't feel like the character anymore, and it does hurt the actor themselves, because you're putting your reputation on the line every single time you act, every single time you put any kind of character in, because this is you. This is putting you out there. And when you're getting pressurized, when you're a part of a big company like this and stuff, or getting bought up by a big company, it does hurt your reputation. It does hurt you. It does hurt your acting and your art.
Absolutely, because people just suddenly see you as a sellout. They think, oh, he's making millions of dollars now, just to do this. He doesn't care anymore, He doesn't care about the project or the art anymore. He just wants to make that money. People can see that. Even if that's not your case, maybe you genuinely love the project or love the script, and I can't wait to be a part of this. Get Jar Jar Binks, for example, played by Ahmed Best. He got into the role to play Jar Jar Binks. He didn't think, oh, I'm going to go into this and people are going to hate this character and make me want to kill myself years later. He went into it thinking, gosh, I cannot wait to do this. Cannot wait to play this character. I get to be in Star Wars. Most people probably think, oh, he made millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. He's happy. We can make fun of him and hate the character. No, it ruined his reputation. It ruined his character. He never really acted that much again. Being in one of those big projects that have so much influence and then have such a big fan base, and when if you screw it up, if you do something small, these people will leap on you like a shark in blood-infested waters. Ryan Reynolds' career got ruined by Wolverine and Blade. Thankfully, he was able to pull himself out of it with Deadpool. But his career was almost ruined by a lot of those movies, and these were big roles. Look at Green Lantern. Green Lantern pretty much almost ruined his career. He makes fun of it now, but you got to be careful just because it's a big project or a big role, or you're going to make tons of money. Sometimes you got to be really careful about what you take. If there's any advice I can give you, know your script and know what you're getting yourself into. Absolutely. Take the role, take what you want, take what you can, but also be careful. Don't do it blindly. Know what you're getting yourself into, and if you feel like you're getting yourself into something that's too much, it's okay to turn down roles as well. It's okay to say no.
Yeah, it's always about temptation too, man. It's something that we all just can't help sometimes, but sometimes we gotta force ourselves, and that can be very treacherous. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer that from negative, there's always a positive around the corner, man. It just takes a while to get there.
Brought up how studios are just trying to constantly have these timetables and push and just try to pump out these things and just push. Don't. It's not about the art. It's about just getting out for this other company. Like look at DC Films, for example. Look what WB did to Justice League, or the Zack Snyder. Poor Zack Snyder. Man, the Zack Snyder is such an underrated director. That man will be regarded as a artist, as a legitimate artist in the future. He is a brilliant director. He's got beautiful visions how he does this thing. The man is a genius. He's created masterpieces, and people don't appreciate them. You have to watch these movies. I can't personally convey to people how, without going into long, drawn-out detail of why I love these movies like Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. But WB, by butting into these films, trying to push their agenda, trying to push we need to beat Marvel. We need to get this Justice League movie out because we need to make all this money, instead of letting Zack Snyder do his thing and develop these movies. He was creating his version of Superman. He was creating a story arc for Superman that goes from Man of Steel to Justice League. Both Batman versus Superman was meant to be a long 3-hour movie, yet WB forced him to cut it down to 2 hours and 30 minutes. When you've got Avengers Endgame, that's over 3 hours long, people still loved it. WB doesn't understand. You got to let your artists work. Because when Zack Snyder released Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition, the extended director's cut, you saw exactly what he wanted in his vision. It was 3 hours long, a whole 30 minutes cut back into it, and he recut the film, and it's genius. It was a masterpiece. The story was perfect, cut together completely well. Everything made sense. And my point of that is because then when he did that, the damage had already been done by what WB did to the theatrical release, and people had already hated on it so much that when they were trying to do Justice League, they kicked Zack Snyder off and had Joss Whedon come and finish some reshoots and finish the film and still give credit to Zack Snyder as the director. And then they cut it short, and they added a new composer, and he kind of recut the color, filters in the movie and stuff like that, cut off a whole bunch of Zack Snyder's story, including Superman's rebirth, which was supposed to be the arc of where Superman becomes the Superman that we know. Unfortunately, because of damage done by Batman versus Superman in theaters, WB went in and changed Justice League, and because the damage had already been done, Justice League bombed. That is a testament to what happens when you let the studios butt into an artist's vision. You ruin what could have been probably one of the greatest story arcs and trilogies in film history.
Yeah, it's very sad to see these companies do this, but I mean, unfortunately, it's ongoing. I mean, sometimes there's a nice ray in the clouds, but oftentimes it's always clouded. But diving into Voorhees having to be involved in this project, I mean, there are a lot of fan-made films out there in terms of with Friday the 13th. There's a couple of Nightmare on Elm Streets and so forth, but when it comes to with this film, I've noticed that this one is more modernized when using, like, you see a couple of vigilantes going through the territory, which was Crystal Lake and so forth. At least this is in the trailers, but I'm not spoiling anything. We see like something a little bit more different that, like, we know that these guys aren't entirely aware that Jason is still here. So can you elaborate a little bit more with what your character is if you're involved with Voorhees, the film?
Without getting too much into spoilers or anything like that, my character is definitely one of the robbers of the film, obviously. So hard to tell anything without giving anything away that we haven't already given away.
The identification of Jason Voorhees, and is this a different outlook with this character and the storyline compared to what we haven't already seen?
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference. We did try out like 2 different scripts. We began with this script, and then we actually had a point where we tried to write another script that was more in line with what we know, what we're used to, what we're familiar with from Friday the 13th. But we realized we wanted to do something different. We wanted to bring something different because we had already promised something new. We had already promised them the darkest and most sadistic Jason film you'll ever see. And how can we do that by showing them something that they've already seen? And we figured, well, if we have this one completely different story, this completely different, storyline going on. You got this whole backstory of these characters and whatnot coming into the situation. And they basically, this story clashes with Friday the 13th, clashes with Jason. Like, you to bring a new element into something that already exists. And that's kind of what we were going for. And I feel like we definitely have something special, honestly. I guess one of the things I can give away is that my character's name is Derek. That's probably about as much as I can give away. The great thing about this movie is everything about each character is if you were really to go into detail about each character, there's really no way that you can sum them up without giving away the story, because every character plays such an important part in the development of the story, and every character is actually fleshed out and kind of has their own little backstory that even if we don't really explain the backstory insanely, you still get an idea that each of these characters kind of have their own unique story somewhere out there that maybe we could even tap on years later, saying that we would do that. That's what we wanted to bring into this, is that we wanted to definitely have Jason, on a killing spree, murdering, people, lots of blood, best kills ever, and definitely that he's the focus of the film. Absolutely. We wanted to make sure that Jason was our primary focus, that even when we were casting Jason, we went through so many people to find the perfect one, because Jason's not just a mask. He's an icon. It's not just about the mask. It's about Jason doesn't speak. He moves, and his body language is everything. And we also found probably the biggest Jason in all the movies. Dude is like 6'7", like 300 pounds or something like that. Dude's huge. We have a picture of him standing next to Kane Hodder at a convention in his Stinson outfit, and he's towering over Kane Hodder. of horror filmmaking.
Well, that can also be a little bit of can be problematic if it's not, put in the film correctly. But I mean, there are a lot of fan-made films out there that rather just have a deja vu moment with these fan-made films and than to revisit the same location, but also structure the story a little bit differently, but still have your classic slasher icon that you've always loved. And I think, in a way, these other films are more influenced by the character or the storyline and so forth, and they just repeat the same things, the same kills, the same characters or cameos and so forth, and it doesn't make that story different. It doesn't make that film different. You're just rehashing the exact same film. But from what I see in Voorhees, I notice that there's definitely a difference, because I notice there's like what we see in the trailers that we can see. I mean, something's going down pretty bad here. We see that someone's kidnapping somebody. Somebody's like, we got cops. We got this. It seems pretty chaotic, and but I've noticed that there's also Jason Voorhees' face somewhere in there, and we know that there's going to be some brutality, but with this film, how do you keep it from making it seem like it's an influence?
You definitely want to be creative. One thing I noticed that Cody does, and we all really try to mimic, is that what's very important is that Jason is resourceful. So it's not just how brutal can the kills be, what can we do next? Let's found a random spear or something and we'll just kill him. No, what we want to do is we want to base it on the environment. Jason would want to use the environment around him. You would want everything to be fluid. All the kills you want to be fluid, to work together. Jason's in a scene in a certain location. He's going to use the environment around him. Something's going to happen. You never know how he's going to kill somebody, and we definitely want to try to make that unique. We definitely, obviously, are going to have a lot of nods to the original films because it is a fan film. This is definitely more so for the fans because they helped us fund this movie. It's fully fan funded, and we definitely want to give our nods to the original movies, absolutely. But do we want to recreate the old movies? Absolutely not. No, we definitely made strides, and we rack our brains every day. I'm on the phone with Cody like 4 or 5 times a day, basically, and we rack our brains around ideas. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this work? This has to be good. Like, we cannot just do this. Like, this has to make sense, or this has to stand out. Like, we can't just do this. Like, we can't just kill this person, like this. We can't just stab them, in the chest with a machete. How can we make this a memorable kill without, one, making it look too cheesy, and 2, making it brutal as hell, and 3, not trying to completely mimic old school kills from the movies. Everything about this movie is yes, it's a Jason Friday the 13th film, but we want to make it as unique to the franchise as we can without alienating the people who love the original. Our script actually, I'm not bragging, saying our script, we actually let Kane Hodder read it, and he gave us his approval on the script. He loved it. The script, is the story element of it, you're actually going to like the character element of it. Like, the characters actually bring something to it. Like, each one of us has a backstory, like I was saying earlier, but our backstories play into how the movie plays out and how certain situations play out. And that's the great thing about this script, is that everything is connected. Everything works together. Not just, okay, kill here, kill here, kill here. There's actually a story and a reason for everything. And that's the great thing I love about it. And we definitely make sure that there's definitely a lot of Jason in this movie. We're not going to skimp on Jason for story, most definitely, but we want to make sure that story plays a big part, because there's nothing worse than having a bunch of people to kill and not really caring about the characters. That we definitely strive to really care about our characters and make each character important. And that's one thing I love about Cody, is he gave us the characters, but he lets us bring ourselves to the character. And sometimes he'll call me and I'll answer the phone and be like, "My man Derek." He calls me by Derek sometimes. It's our character. Derek's my character right now, and even though he was written by Cody, that helped bring these characters to life. And the fact that he lets us make these characters something important in the film is awesome. And so I think that's really going to show in the film. And I see a lot of comments sometimes about how the acting looks crappy and stuff like that. And I'm like, and my rebuttal to that is, maybe it doesn't look good in the trailer, but please give it a chance. Check it out. You'll be surprised, actually. There's a lot of amazing performances in this movie. There's a lot of stuff we put into this film. We put our own blood, sweat, and tears into this film. And we're very proud of what we've accomplished in a lot of these scenes, to the point where we even finished shooting in the day. We look at some of the shots we got, and we're so impressed. We're like, wow, I can't believe we pulled that off. fully believe when this movie drops, everyone that sees it is in for a big surprise, because there's some amazing moments in this movie that even we didn't think we could capture that we did. So,
well, go ahead and plug in any websites. I mean, where can we check this out, like as far as the trailers go? I mean, when can we actually expect Voorhees to come out?
The Voorhees will be released on September 13th this year. That's Friday the 13th, which is appropriate. If you want to check out more information on it, there is a Facebook. I'm not sure how you can find it. You can search for it under Voorhees Fan Film, I guess, through Facebook, but there is a actual Facebook page that you can join and get more information. And you could also join the YouTube page where the video will be released for free on YouTube at Wet Paint Pictures. Yeah, and also if you are willing to make the trip out here, or if you're in the area, actually there will be a premiere. We will hold it around the Washington, D.C. area, and it will be a free event. Don't quote me on that. I have to talk with my director. We will have more information on that, but I'm pretty sure it is a free event because we can't really make money on this movie. But and you're all welcome to come out, sit with us, converse with us, watch the movie, have fun, and we will have a live Q&A afterwards. Our Jason will be there, and we'll all have fun and watch it, and then the movie will drop after that on YouTube, and everyone can enjoy it. But if you want to catch all that, Wet Paint Pictures, YouTube, and search for Voorhees Fan Film on the Facebook page. Definitely will pop up.
Definitely looking forward to checking it out. So there you have it, everybody. That is actor James Masten.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on here.